If you've ever watched SpongeBob, you've probably noticed that the show's animation has had a massive upgrade over the years. But did you know that no matter the season, there are tons of animation mistakes in the cartoon about the most famous jellyfish catcher of the 7 seas? Some of these mistakes happen in the episode Muscle Bob Buff Pants, the 11th of the very first season, where Gary's owner suddenly gets super strong arms. That's already a mistake in itself. Seriously, how would he even be able to flip Krabby Patties with arms that huge? But that's not even the strangest part. When SpongeBob tries to stop Sandy from finishing her note on a piece of paper pinned to the post, we can clearly see he's only wearing blue swim trunks. However, when he finally manages to free himself from the 100-gram glass that was holding his hand, he goes flying and smashes his face into the same post. Only now, out of nowhere, he's fully dressed. And it seems like this particular episode had something going on with clothes, because when SpongeBob later arrives at the Krusty Krab and Mr. Krabs is sweeping out front, he's so terrified, so unbelievably terrified of buff SpongeBob that not only does he tuck his eyes and nose into his pants, but his shirt sleeve magically changes color from blue to red. But don't think for a second that only the early seasons have these animation and logic slip-ups. Get ready, because now we're about to blow your mind. In Season 9, we've got the episode Don't Look Now, where SpongeBob and Patrick watch a horror movie and then get scared that a monster might actually be after them. And the mistake happens right when the two friends are at the theater. When they sit down in the front row, guided by the creepy usher. Look closely, there are 4 other moviegoers sitting behind them. But just a few seconds later when the movie begins, there aren't 4 but 5 people. Now you might think, okay, maybe the guy just went to the bathroom and came back. Sure, that could be true. But then why is the lady in the last seat on the right a completely different person all of a sudden? Yeah, there's no denying this one, folks. Mistakes definitely happened here. And yes, there's more than just one, because on top of those 2 mistakes we already mentioned, there are other really interesting details. For example, in the first scene, we see an older fish, complete with a white beard and everything. But in the second shot, when the musical chairs of seats happens and the audience magically changes, that old man gets replaced by another old fish, this one without a beard but wearing glasses. And not only that, this second old fish apparently brought his twin brother to watch the horror flick with him, because we see the exact same character appear twice in the same row. But come on, if they were brothers, wouldn't they sit right next to each other? Yeah, I don't think they're siblings at all. This was just another straight-up animation mistake. Jumping back now to SpongeBob's earlier seasons, let's talk about the episode Dying for Pie. It's from Season 2 and shows Squidward giving SpongeBob a pie that's actually a bomb, and then spending the whole day trying to make SpongeBob's supposed last hours the happiest of his life. But before this accidental murder plot kicks in, we see our main character thrilled to see his coworker early in the morning, so much so that he gives him a sweater made entirely out of eyelashes. However, in the image where this moment happens, there's a big close-up on the fry cook's eyebrows. But hold on, he said the sweater was made of eyelashes, not eyebrow hairs, right? But thinking about it more carefully, it looks like the mistake is way bigger than it first seems, and I can prove it. Tell me, have you ever seen SpongeBob with eyebrows? Exactly, he doesn't have eyebrows, just like probably all sea sponges. So even though it's a pretty funny joke, it makes absolutely no sense. Still talking about the exploding pie episode, we noticed 2 details that the animators let slide but we managed to catch. When Mr. Krabs talks to Squidward, asking him not to tell SpongeBob that this could be his last day alive, at least that's what they thought. Pay attention, behind both characters, on the left side there's a clock on the wall. But then, when Squidward leaves determined to make it SpongeBob's best day ever, guess what shows up on the other wall? The same brown clock, pointing to 5 p.m. But wait, that's not all. The wall where Mr. Krabs and Squidward are talking in the first scene is blue. However, when we see the clock on the other wall, suddenly the wall is brown, like it's made out of wood. Before we keep going, just a quick heads up. If you're into movies, TV shows, and cartoons, go ahead and smash that subscribe button right now. Back to the episode Don't Look Now from Season 9. SpongeBob and Patrick leave the movie theater and immediately do what they love the most, annoy Squidward, who is peacefully sleeping. Gary's owner's neighbor then throws SpongeBob straight through the mail slot, and he lands right on Squidward's bed. Okay, that's pretty insane, but it's part of cartoon logic. The thing we can't ignore is that when Squidward throws SpongeBob, and even when he slams into the bedroom door, SpongeBob is wearing his regular outfit. But the second he's under the blanket in Squidward's bed, suddenly he's just in his underwear. Now tell me, does that make any sense to you? Because it doesn't to me. Probably because it's a major logic fail, don't you think? But even if that makes no sense, what comes next is even worse. Back to the scene where SpongeBob gets under the blanket. All of his usual clothes are gone, except for one thing. His shoes. But just a little later, when Patrick bursts into the room to scare his buddy, SpongeBob is completely barefoot. It's like his clothes vanish piece by piece. Could this be a creepy side effect from watching that horror movie? In another episode, one of the funniest and grossest of the whole series, SpongeBob pretends to be a doctor and is about to perform surgery on Squidward. And that's when we actually see Patrick's neighbor's heart beating and even spurting blood. But the biggest mistake in that scene, besides mistaking SpongeBob's brainpower for a trained doctor's, is the fact that Squidward's blood is red. Here's a quick biology lesson. Cephalopods, like squids, octopuses, and cuttlefish, don't have red blood like we do. They have blue blood. so technically this whole scene is wrong. Then again, if I'd seen blue blood pouring out of Squidward as a kid, I probably wouldn't have understood anything. Jumping again to season 9, there's the episode Little Yellow Book, where SpongeBob gets obsessed with writing stuff in his diary. But the error we're gonna point out has nothing to do with Squidward's neighbor's secret notebook, in the scene where SpongeBob stuffs his body full of buns and burger patties. Right after that, we see him adding, through his ears, and seriously, don't ever try that at home, ketchup and mustard. Then he walks out to the dining area and in a pretty creepy way starts shooting out Krabby Patties straight from his body for the customers. But notice, the Krabby Patties also have a leaf of lettuce. I don't know about you, but I never saw him put lettuce in with the rest of the ingredients. So here's the big question. Where did the lettuce come from? Honestly, I'm scared to even think of the answer. So yeah, we'll mark this one down as another error. And to make things even worse, after all that, he still spits out 2 pickle slices from his ears into a customer's burger at the Krusty Krab. In that same episode, we notice something else that makes absolutely no sense, but this time it's tied to the animation. At one point, Squidward sets down a little boombox for SpongeBob, who suddenly rips off his clothes and starts dancing. But here's the thing, as soon as our ballroom dancer of the deep sea begins his first moves, the boombox just vanishes. So, where was the music we were all hearing actually coming from? That's the question. Later on, when SpongeBob gets exposed by Squidward and a bunch of people start laughing at the poor guy, we notice that even Patrick is part of the crowd making fun of the #1 employee at the Krusty Krab. But then, right after SpongeBob bumps into Mr. Krabs, take a closer look. Patrick is suddenly gone from the crowd of mockers. Did he maybe take the chance to sneak into the Krusty Krab kitchen and grab a couple of Krabby Patties? Now let's jump to season 3 in the episode Squilliam Returns. Maybe you don't remember, but Squilliam is actually one of the disappearing characters we talked about in our video, about characters who don't show up anymore in SpongeBob. In this specific episode, we see Squidward walking up to a trash can when he realizes that behind him, yep, remember this? His eternal rival Squilliam is approaching, surrounded by a small group of followers. So far, so good. But things get weird when Squilliam and his entourage suddenly appear in front of Squidward. Wait a second, weren't they coming from behind him? How does that even work? It makes zero sense. Still in that episode, there's another blooper that honestly cracked me up. Squidward lies to Squilliam and says he owns a 5-star restaurant. When he's about to give up, SpongeBob's neighbor's rival walks into the Krusty Krab and finds everything beautifully set up. That was all SpongeBob's doing. He tied up Patrick and Mr. Krabs so they wouldn't mess things up. And here's where we spot the hilarious mistake. SpongeBob tied up Mr. Krabs' eyes, but completely left his legs free, wide open for him to run away. But hold on, it's not over yet. Apparently Mr. Krabs notices this and actually manages to walk out of the storage room where SpongeBob left him tied up. But here's the kicker. Somewhere along the way, he somehow tied up his own legs, which had been totally free just moments earlier. Seriously, this is exactly why I love this show. It makes absolutely no sense at all. To wrap up our list, let's talk about the episode SpongeBob, You're Fired. This is a special from season 9, where Mr. Krabs fires SpongeBob to save money. SpongeBob then sets out to find a new job, trying his luck at other restaurants, but he always ends up missing the Krusty Krab. Even though firing him turns out to be a huge mistake on Mr. Krabs' part, we also spotted another tiny blooper. When SpongeBob is sobbing after being fired, we can see in the background, inside the Krusty Krab, one of those ship's wheel tables. But in the very next scene, while SpongeBob is still standing in the exact same spot outside the restaurant, the animators apparently thought no one would notice if they took the tables away. But we noticed. That's it for today. We'll be back soon with more SpongeBob videos. So if you enjoy content like this, we're leaving 2 awesome options right on your screen. Just pick one and have fun watching. Thanks.